Today I'm going to read the story of the Little Mermaid. Here's some pictures of the Little Mermaid. Of course, this was made into a movie by Walt Disney, but this is the original story of the Little Mermaid. Once upon a time, there was a king with 6 beautiful daughters, but he was not a king of the human world. His lands lay far below the waves where fish flashed like jewels. The young princess's mother had died, but their grandmother took good care of them. Of all the princesses, the youngest was the most beautiful. Her long hair floated like a golden cloud. The girls loved to hear their grandmother tell them stories of the land above the waves. There, she told them, human beings walked on strange things called legs. The youngest mermaid longed to see it. When you are 15, her grandmother said, you shall go. When the eldest princess was old enough, she swam to the surface, returning the next day to tell of the wonderful things she had seen. Year after year, one after another, the mermaid princesses grew old enough to swim up to the world of humans. At last, the time came for the youngest mermaid, the littlest mermaid, to see the world she had longed to visit. And here's a ship. There, a picture of a ship and the mermaid. As she rose to the surface for the first time, the sun was just setting. Nearby, a fine ship was sailing. It's the picture I just showed you of the ship. As the little mermaid watched, a handsome prince came onto the deck. He did not know that he was being watched, or that the little mermaid could not take her eyes from his face. Darkness fell, and the ship began to toss as the wind rose. There's a picture of that, the storm. A dreadful storm wrenched away the sails and the rigging, and huge waves crashed onto the deck. As the ship sank, the little mermaid saw the prince struggling in the water. She held up his head and guided him gently to shore. When morning came, the wind dropped and the sun rose. The little mermaid stayed near the shore to watch over the sleeping prince. Before long, some girls came along. The prince woke as they bent over him on the sand. Only the little mermaid felt sad. After that, the little mermaid often rose to the surface, eager for a sight of the prince. At last, she could not bear it any more. She decided to go to see the powerful water witch. The water witch laughed when she saw the little mermaid. There's a picture of the water witch there. She laughed when she saw the little mermaid. I know why you have come, she said. You want to go and live in the human world so that you can be near the prince. But do you know the price you will have to pay? No, whispered the princess, but I will pay it gladly to be human. I shall need your voice with which you sing so sweetly, said the witch. Then I can turn you into a lovely human girl. But remember, if the prince does not love you with all his heart, and take you for his wife, you will turn into sea foam and be lost forever. Hurry, said the mermaid, I have already decided. So the water witch gave the little mermaid a potion to drink. Here's a picture of the potion. As soon as the little mermaid stood for the first time before the prince she loved, As soon as the little mermaid stood for the first time before the prince she loved, he wanted to meet her, and although she could not speak to him, he soon found that he could not bear to be apart from her. The little mermaid loved the young man more each day, but he never thought of marrying her. Months passed, and the prince's mother and father urged him to find a bride. At last he agreed to meet a princess in a nearby country. Of course, the little mermaid went with him, but she felt as if her heart were breaking. When the prince stepped on shore and met the new princess for the first time, he was so dazzled by her beauty that he decided to marry her at once. The wedding was a magnificent affair, with flowers and silks and jewels. Everyone cheered with joy to see the happy pair. Only the little mermaid was silent. Her tears fell unseen. That night, the little mermaid stood on deck and gazed at the dark water. At dawn, she would be turned into foam. But as she stood there, her sisters rose to the surface of the water. Their flowing hair was cut short. "We gave it to the water witch," they said, "in return for this knife. If you kill the prince tonight, you will be free of the spell." The little mermaid took the knife, but as dawn broke, she knew that she could never harm the prince. Weeping, the little mermaid plunged into the sea, but instead of turning into foam, she found herself floating in the air. Around her were lovely creatures made of golden light. There's pictures there. There's her sisters and the knife. And this is her floating in the air. "We are the daughters of the air," they said. "You can be happy at last with us." As the little mermaid rose into the sunshine, she looked down at the prince's ship, and she smiled. The end of The Little Mermaid.